What's happening? What's the word? Vonnie EC, another trucker. The power of being single in today's times, especially being a single man. Um, yeah, it's a lot of power in moving and maneuvering through life dolo. It's a lot. I think I said this before, man, but hell, I've been single for almost 10 years. It's probably been about 10 years. Now, I've been single, but not necessarily lonely. Being alone and being lonely, two total different things. But in these 10 years that I've been single, I feel like I've been able to become more whole than I ever been. And what's funny? When you hear these conversations about relationships, men versus women and all this, one thing that I hear a lot of people try to weaponize people's relationship status, especially people being single. They try to weaponize against them. A lot of people, they try to say that, if you're single and, you ain't married or you ain't got kids and the family past a certain age, then there got to be something wrong with you. I think shit like that is hilarious, and I think that's furthest from the truth. Because the one thing that I've been able to gain within these past almost 10 years is peace of mind. Something that a lot of people don't got. Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely been able to establish peace of mind. And you know how you get peace of mind? I've realized that a couple of the best ways to put you on a journey to getting peace of mind in your life is first accepting things as they are. Accepting that you cannot change people. Accepting that the only person that you got control over is you. Accepting that even the things that happen to you that's out of your control, accepting that it's all on you how you gonna respond to those things. Acceptance with things you cannot control. I think that's a great way to reaching peace of mind. Another way to getting peace of mind in your life is distancing yourself from distractions. No matter who it may be, it can be family. It could be interactions with the opposite sex. Speaking from a man perspective, it can be disciplining yourself with how you deal with women. You know what I'm saying? The less distractions, the better. I feel like learning how to be by yourself is a good way to learn how to become whole with yourself. Now, I'm not telling people to go be by themselves and just evade from having a social life and don't have no girlfriend or none of that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? But I'm an introvert. Introverts, one thing we do naturally, we observe people. I've been observing people for a long time. For a long time. And one thing that I've noticed about a lot of people are not whole with themselves. You see, like I said, you hear a lot of people put labels on people that don't fit or live their life according to societal norms. The societal norm is being in a relationship, having a family, being married. You'll have a lot of people who are on that side that will pass judgment on people that might be like me, you know what I'm saying, who enjoy and relish in being single. But one thing I notice about a lot of people in the world, man, a lot of people are not whole. And a lot of people that get into relationships, a lot of people really don't get into relationships to add shit to each other or to the person that they with. A lot of people get into relationships because they're afraid of being by themselves, which is selfish to me. You know, a lot of people get in relationships to run away from themselves. A lot of people get into relationships to lean on the other person to help fill voids that they got inside themselves that they not big enough or strong enough to face to fix themselves. But these would be a lot of the same people that'll pass judgment. If you single, if you ain't this or that, something wrong with you. And a lot of people, they don't realize when they say this, they say more about themselves than what they think they saying about a certain group of people. Yeah, I've observed this. I've observed this about a lot of people. You know, I watch people get in and out of relationships. They get out of one relationship, they got to hurry up and hop into the next one. I can't relate. You know what I'm saying? And these are people who gonna always live their life if they don't ever take the time out to be whole with themselves. These are gonna be people that's gonna always be living their life according to somebody else's validation. And that's just something that I can't relate to. You know what I'm saying? I don't try to be different or say that I'm different just to say that I'm different, but I've just realized by default that I just think different, I move different. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of things that people feel that they should have or they need that I just don't feel like I need. A lot of people need to start focusing on becoming whole with themselves. And one of the best ways of being whole with yourself is being okay with being by yourself at some point in time in your life. Because when you're around a lot of people, it's going to be hard for you to hear. A lot of times when you're around a lot of people, you in the crowd, you in the mix, all it is noise. You know what I'm saying? You don't really get to hear yourself until you get by yourself. But you know, a lot of people, that's why a lot of people have to be around other people. Because they're afraid of the truth from the voices inside their head that's going to be yelling at them when they by themselves. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But these past 10 years, man, these been the greatest years of my life so far. I can't complain. But it's some negatives that come along with it too. You know, you can get so used to being by yourself that it's hard. You make it hard for other people to come inside your world. You know what I'm saying? You become less tolerant of other people's bullshit. The slightest smoke of anybody's bullshit, you out the door. I don't know no other way else to say it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to the people that feel like you need to be in a relationship, tell me, what do I need to be in a relationship for? Tell me, for what? Because at this point in time in my life, the only thing that I'm worried about is continuing on, focusing on my purpose, and continuing to build on my spiritual foundation. That's it. Whatever come along with that, come along with that. But as far as feeling like I have to live up to some type of societal norm, I don't jack that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't jacking it. You know, a lot of people be like, well, you're gonna die alone. You know, if you don't have a relationship, or you in a certain position, or you know, you living according to a certain societal standard. You know, well, you're gonna die alone. Hey man, we all gonna die alone. We all gonna die alone. You know what I think, man? I think a lot of people, as Americans, man, we watch too many goddamn movies. We watch too much TV. We let entertainment dictate how we should be living our lives and how we should be feeling about ourselves. I've realized that we let a lot of media and entertainment dictate who we should be. You know, certain things that I accept about today's society, you know, big part of a man's life is women, you know, and as we can see, things is changing, you know. A lot of guys is, you know, they trying to fall back on looking for traditional this, traditional that. They want a lot of these modern women of the day to be traditional, or, you know, these conversations come up about women not being traditional. Hey, people might as well leave that conversation alone because ain't nothing gonna change. It's gonna keep changing. We in a whole total different day and time. And things are different from when I was younger. Things are totally different. And it just is what it is, and I accept it. You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of women don't give a damn about catering or serving a man. A lot of women don't care. Is it right? I don't know. I don't know. But it just is what it is. And I don't even complain about it. I just keep pushing on, focusing on my purpose. That's about it. You go stronger being alone too. You know, the more things that you go through by yourself, the more you get stronger. Especially when you facing shit by yourself. You know, it's always good to have people around. You know, it's good to have a support system, but a lot of us, we just grow not to depend on that shit. I learned a long time ago that I couldn't depend on people. You know what I'm saying? I learned a long time ago that people will disappoint you. At every turn, somebody will disappoint you. So, I've been handling shit and going through shit on my own for a long time, to the point that I just can't relate to needing other people for validation. I don't even understand that type of talk. I can't even relate to it. You might as well be speaking Mandarin to me. But one of the most important things I think as well of you know, the power of being single and moving through life solo dolo, or at whatever time that you might be spending a lot of time by yourself, I think it helps with your spiritual foundation if you into that. You know what I'm saying? For people who, you know, whatever you believe in, you got any type of spiritual system, spiritual belief, or whatever the case may be. I think being alone helps you get in tune with that. It helps you build with that. You know, I'm not a religious person. You know, when I was young, you know, I grew up a Christian Baptist. I was baptized when I was like 9 or 10 years old. And even when I was a little boy, you know, I had questions about shit. A lot of shit just didn't make sense to me, even as a boy. But, you know, as I grew into a man, you know, just started standing on shit and like, nah, I'm not, certain shit I'm just not fucking with. You know what I'm saying? I don't look at things the same way as everybody else might look at things. I do have a spiritual relationship. I do have a spiritual foundation. But you know one thing that I do though, I do read the Bible. I rock with the Bible. But not in the sense to where I use the Bible to preach to other people and use the Bible as a weapon, and you know what I'm saying? I'm not a Bible thumper, but I fuck with the Bible heavy because the Bible got so much game in it. I see why they say it's one of the greatest books ever written. You know, when I read the Bible from an allegoric point of view, like, you know, I don't necessarily believe all these stories in the Bible the way it was written, like it happened this way, or the way it was written in the Bible. You know, it's all like symbolism, and it's, you know, you have to decode and read shit and get understanding. Like, I started reading the Bible some years ago. You know, my pops influenced me to read the Bible. This probably was like And when was this? This was like in 2012. My pops inspired me to start reading the Bible. And it was just the way he was talking to me about the Bible. You know, I was going through a real dark time around that time. And he was just talking to me about the Bible. And it was just the way he was talking to me about it, you know. Like, yeah, man, Solomon, man, he was a cold motherfucking man. But he started messing with that broad, man, told that broad his power, you know, she didn't fucked him over. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like how he was talking to me about the Bible in a language, in a way that I can understand it and receive it. You know what I'm saying? So I started reading the Bible. I didn't really, you know, I started reading it, but I didn't stay, I would be off and on with it. Now for the past couple months, I've been reading the Bible like every day. I read it every day, get in a chapter or two. And the reason why I mentioned the Bible, because one thing that I realized about stories in the Bible and the people that God called upon to do certain things, or the people that got messages from God, a lot of times people was by themselves when God was talking to them. You know, and I take that allegorically to in real life. Like a lot of times, in order for you to be doing what you're supposed to be doing for you, sometimes you got to be by yourself. I feel like my spiritual system, my spiritual foundation has grown stronger within these past 10 years. To the point to where it's like, I don't believe in shit. I know. I don't believe no more. I know. That's why I'm at with it. I know. So yeah, that's one thing that I learned about the Bible. Or one thing that I peeped about the Bible, a lot of times, man, people who got closer with God or was able to hear stuff from God when they was by themselves. And a lot of times, you know, in real life, you know, I don't know, you want to call it voice from God, intuition, whatever it may be, man. Whatever that thing that's inside of you, or whatever that spiritual foundation is inside of you, man, you grow closer with that when you by yourself. Especially when you're by yourself and you accept that you on a journey to get somewhere, wherever it is you're trying to go. Yeah. That's one of the powers of being single. And you know, another thing, you know, I see a lot of people these days, a lot of people is claiming they going their own way. You know, we live in a society today to where a lot of people is choosing to be single. Shit. It seems like it's more women. It's like, fuck that. I don't want to be in a relationship, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? I don't trip on it. But everybody kind of like going their own way. Everybody, it's a lot more, I ain't gonna say everybody, but it's a lot of more people these days that just like separating. And this is my thing. This is my advice. You know, if you decide to go on a journey to be by yourself, make sure when you spending time by yourself, you're not just spending time by yourself pointing the finger at everybody else. Like everybody else is the villain and you the hero. No, when you by yourself, you need to be spending time doing self-reflection on yourself and doing the work on yourself as well. You know, being willing to face your fuckery. Because we all got it. You know what I'm saying? We all flawed. So while you by yourself, you need to be working on yourself as well. You can't just go off in the corner and just, you know, put up crucifixes to everybody else like everybody else is just wrong. In some ways, yeah, you know, we all feel like we've been done wrong and, you know, everybody else is fake. A lot of people, we all be feeling like that, but no, sometimes you gotta if you're gonna get in that corner by yourself, you gotta start checking yourself too. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that comes with being by yourself. That's another power. That's another thing that makes you strong with being able to face yourself. Because a lot of people can't face themselves. A lot of people can't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think you become more dangerous when you become comfortable with moving through life by yourself. You become dangerous to a point to where other people, they fear what they don't understand. Because you'll be able to do things and move in a certain way that other people can't see themselves moving or not comfortable moving. You know, like I do a lot of international traveling. You know, I remember the first time I told my pops I was going to go to Brazil. This was on my way leading up to my first trip to Brazil. And I told my pops I was going to go to Brazil. He wasn't with it. You know what I'm saying? He didn't like the fact of me going to a place like that, you know what I'm saying, by myself. You know, why you want to do that? Why you want to go to Brazil? They kidnapping people. They doing this and that. And, you know, that's one thing that I've learned traveling overseas to a degree, man. People who don't really travel or really immerse themselves in other people's cultures. You know, a lot of Americans say a lot of ignorant shit and don't really be knowing shit. A lot of Americans, they whole mentality is based on what the media feed them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, my pops is a very spiritual person. You know, got high respect, high regard for my pops. But in this particular conversation, man, I had to kind of back him down off me a little bit. Because my pops is a God-fearing man. You know, he's a very God-fearing man. Like I say, my pops is the only man that can ever influence me to read the Bible. No other man has ever been able to influence me to read the Bible because I don't like people preaching to me. A lot of us don't like nobody preaching to us, especially like when they trying to preach to you from out the Bible. Like my pop's the only person that's been able to get me to read the Bible. For real, for real. But this was just this one time, man, I kind of had to back him up off me a little bit. And I had to tell my pops, you know, because he was worried about my safety and me going to Brazil. And I understand, you know what I'm saying? I get it. But I had to tell my pops, I'm like, how is it that you have a relationship with the Most High? You know I have a relationship with the Most High. Why wouldn't you believe that the Most High would take care of me and look out for me on this journey? You know, when did you stop? Because I told you that I was finna go to Brazil and do something that's out the norm of what you're used to. Where did you draw the line at, or where did you forget about God in this? To where all of a sudden it's just you just putting your fears on me. Where God at? Real talk. And I had to tell my pops this. And I just remember him saying, like, he just got quiet and he just like, you right. And you know, I felt real bad for that. I felt kind of bad for that because I've never, you know, I don't have that relationship with my pops where we argue and shit like that, man. Like I say, I always had respect for my pops. Still do, of course. When my pops speak, I listen. But in this situation, I had to back him off me. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you're not finna hit me with this fear shit because it's not normal to you. Not listening to that. You know what I'm saying? You can't be preaching about God and all this and you know what I'm saying? Then become a fear monger when somebody, you know, your son decides that he want to do something that's outside of what you consider normal. No, what you should be saying, okay, son, hey, be careful, may God be with you. That's what you should be saying. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother thing, man. That's a whole nother thing, like when people be preaching about God and just be talking sometimes. Now, I ain't saying my pops just be talking. But in that situation, I kind of like, hey, fam, like, don't put your fears on me. You know, so being alone makes you strong. Being alone makes you powerful. I feel more powerful by myself for the most part. I feel like it ain't nothing that I can't do. I even realized, like, even sometimes at different points of times, you get around people, and I've just noticed, man, like sometimes people energy will drain you when you're not on the same frequency with what everybody else talking about. You know, that's when you know you really growing into your own person. For real, for real. So, I didn't want to make this video too long, but y'all know how I get. But it's power in being able to stand alone. Now, like I said before, I'm not telling people like just to be alone and don't have nobody in your life, don't never have no relationship, none of that. That ain't what I'm saying. But it's good to be able to know that you can depend on yourself. It's good to know that you can be able to stand alone if you have to. It's good to know that if not tolerating disrespect from somebody you're in a relationship with, it's good to know that you can walk away or let them walk away when you feel like somebody is overstepping their boundaries. But see, a lot of people don't have that wholeness within they self to let shit walk by them. If it's gonna be detrimental to your spiritual health or your mental health. I'm not fighting to stay in no fucking relationship. I don't be understanding this shit. Fight for what? Oh, you gotta fight. I'm not, no. No. By my age where I'm at, I'm considered an old man. To a lot of these youngins, I'm considered an old man. Cool. I'm an old man and don't have time to be fighting. I need peace of mind. And one thing that I've learned too, I hear people say, you know, they looking for somebody else to bring them peace in their life. You know, specifically a significant other. I don't really believe other people can bring peace to your life. You the only person that can bring peace to your life. You the only person that can do that. And it takes some work to bring peace to your life. It takes discipline. You might have to cut people off. You know what I'm saying? You might have to painfully, you might have to distance yourself to the point to where it might feel painful. You might feel lonely at first. But it's way more powerful to know that you can always depend and stand alone by yourself, as opposed to always having to lean and depend on somebody else's validation to where you gotta accept people's bullshit just because you afraid to be alone. Ah, man. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, peace of mind, bro. The power of being by yourself, peace of mind. Because if your mind ain't right, ain't nothing else gonna be right. Like I say, man, I see people, once again, like I say, ain't nothing wrong with being in a relationship. Ain't nothing wrong with being married. Hey, if it's working for you, then by all means, you know what I'm saying? By all means. But I think the most important thing is being whole with yourself. And only you can go on that journey. And can't nobody put no time restraints or constraints on how long it's going to take for your self-development. However long it's going to take, wherever you at in your life. Being alone make you strong. And even if you do want these things, even if you are single and you want to have a family and, things of that nature one day, going into that situation whole would be better for everybody. Because once you go into situations like that, when you whole, you won't waste your time. You won't waste nobody else's time. Because you're going to be addressing shit at the door. Part of being whole is knowing yourself, accepting yourself, your flaws and your strengths. And once you know these things about yourself, you know your boundaries. And when you know your boundaries, you know when you're dealing with somebody else or you in a relationship, you kicking it with somebody else or whatever the case may be, you know you're not going to be afraid to address shit that's teeter-tottering over crossing your boundaries. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes addressing shit when people start overstepping their boundaries, hey, you sometimes you might lose people. Sometimes people might not like you addressing certain things. Sometimes you might have to check some shit. But you can only do that a lot of times when you know yourself and you know your worth, you know your value to yourself. And a lot of people never really know their worth or their value by themselves because they don't really know nothing about themselves. Everything about them is valued in somebody else's validation. And when you living like that, you're going to always be subject to what somebody else think about you. You're going to always be subject to what other people think is good for you. You're going to always be subject to how other people think that you should be living your life when these people ain't even got their shit in order. They ain't got their mind right. They trying to put it on you what they think that you should be doing by a certain time and what you should have. You ain't got shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't listen to these people. So, the point of this message, especially, for truckers, this topic is a little bit outside of trucking, but I just say this too, man. It's a lot of people that's in trucking right now. You going on that journey of being in trucking. You spend a lot of time by yourself. If you spending a lot of time by yourself, man, if you can withstand it, man, use the time to build and work on yourself. Besides just chasing the money, man, work on yourself in all aspects while you got the time alone. Even if you might be in a relationship and you spending time alone on this road, enjoy that time. I would suggest, you know what I'm saying? But hey, people gonna feel the way they gonna feel. Whatever. But yeah, it's power in being able to stand on your own. Because really, when you able to stand on your own, 10 toes down, at worst by yourself, man, really people really can't fuck with you. Real talk. A lot of times it'll take a group of people that have to lean on each other for validation to measure up to the same value that you have as a person that got the power to stand on their own. So that's my message for today. Bonnie E.C. Gone.